And then I said to Angela Rayner, it's only £40,000. No one is going to notice it. Oh, shit, we're live. Space.
And
The
they
final.
wouldn't have if they hadn't have had to take the attention off a certain world incident happening at the minute. Which
And she would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for people meddling with kids. Space. The final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Adequate. Our ongoing mission until, well, we can't be cancelled. It's our own channel. To review every episode and movie of Star Trek in existence, and maybe some other spin-offs and other series and whatever the hell we want to do. To seek out new guests. Eventually. and make them very uncomfortable. To boldly go where every other Star Trek-based YouTube channel has gone before. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Treks and Trekkers worldwide. Welcome to yet another live episode of Trekking Up North. People are thinking we are ill because we are acting so goddamn professional to have a live episode on time on the same day every week. My therapist is worried.
No one has ever accused us of being professional.
No, my therapist is always worried. Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Trekking Up North. I am one of your hosts, as ever, Captain Goodwill, and joining me is the delectable Geesian, the creator of Honk Alert on the Adequate. It's Science Officer Synoiz! Honk!
Honk!
Honk! Honk! Honk! Honk, honk. Do you think, I think different alerts have a different honk?
Yeah, it's going to be like Cantonese or something, where it's like the pitch changes the meaning of it. Like that must be how geese and like ducks and stuff work, where it's like honk, 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 and they're all totally different things. This is like, but the fact is, it's going to be so complicated that all we're going to be able to do is rewire the communicator so it gives an agree or disagree response.
Do you think the red alert is just honk? Stamp duty discovered. Oh!
Oh, would you believe?
Why does it always rain around me? Yes, we are. Everyone outside of the UK is going,
she looked
what
so
the
sad in that
fuck?
boat.
But at least she got her disposable vape. And
hey,
to think,
babe, but I still say fuck her because she betrayed Corbin. So get.
And there is a joke. There is a joke about small boats in there somewhere. But anyway, we are here to review the penultimate episode of season 3 of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, and
it's finally a fucking Ortegas episode.
Finally. It has been.
My first note is massive letters. Ortegas episode. That is my first note on this episode.
It has been a mixed bag this season of Strange New Worlds, and we shall not go into the controversy of last week because how we dodged all of those bullets like Keanu Reeves in 1999. I don't know. But it was a very divisive, very controversial, very topical episode for a lot of people on the interwebs. And we decided to just steer into the comedy and celebrate Patton Oswalt because we don't like controversy.
It's a strange one, though. Like, are people that upset about it?
Yes.
Like the previous one? Because it's just like, I genuinely loved it. Once you realize, hey, it's a gag. Like, hey, it's a silly episode. Like so many other episodes of Trek before.
Yes.
You just laugh with it. But yeah, people. I know that Captain Squadron didn't like it. I know Captain Squadron were a bit like, oh, what's happening
Also,
here?
I speaking of Captain Squadron, I do want to convey our heartfelt condolences to Jo on the loss of Cosmic Space Mom. She was a wonderful human being, a great supporter of Jo's, and our thoughts are with him and his family at this difficult time. So much love, Jo. Mwah! Hopefully, we will see you next year at. Where are we going? STLV.
America at some point.
America. Yes.
Well, rest in peace, dear Virginia. Like she seems
was
like
wonderful.
a lovely, lovely person, and obviously he loved her like nothing else. And it's awful. Like it's that thing where a lot of people at this, like getting to the age where they're starting to lose parents, whether it's like from one thing or the other, and it's just there has to be nothing worse than that, I think. And obviously, sort of like preparing yourself for it is obviously always fairly scary, I think.
Very scary, but our thoughts and our heartfelt condolences are with you at this time. I would like to say hello to everybody who is joining us live, especially the magnificent Canadian shed with all the accoutrements. All the accoutrements that you've come to expect from a Canadian shed, like shovel,
oof,
and a lawnmower.
He's fully hinged.
He's fully. I think he's got 3 hinges. I think the door is triple hinged. It's David, our wonderful Canadian friend, and obviously the only star of Star Trek New Trek. Hello, Dave. Hope you are well. But yes, we are here to finally review the Ortegas episode of Strange New Worlds. This has been a long time coming. Fans have asked for this.
A long time coming.
Fans have asked for this. Yeah, we have asked for this for 3 seasons. And first off the bat, do you think Ortegas? Do you think this episode paid off for Ortegas? Do you think it was a good episode?
Yeah, no. This. I was literally thinking that this might be one of my favorite episodes of Trek. Like this hit me like a truck. I mean, this has been a really busy week. Like I'm running on fumes at the minute. I've been so busy, and it's just like, when you watch something and you get really emotional because you just kind of like, this is so perfectly done. Like, so I've loved this season of Strange New Worlds. It has been random, it has been crazy, but so was the previous season. Like it was like we had a musical episode in the last season. We had like an animated, partly animated episode last season.
Yeah.
And it's the fact of this one, I'm like, yep, that's Strange New Worlds doing Strange New Worlds. But this was a perfect bottle episode of Trek, which echoes so many previous episodes. Like, there's a lot of references I can make to one of my favorites, which is Duet, which is in the Dabo Wheel for some time in the future. We have the amazing, I've forgotten the name of it, but Darmok and Chana.
Darmok and Shaladat Tanagra.
Yeah.
Darmok and Shalad. Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff connecting to that. And obviously, we have a very distinct connection to the original series. In this episode.
Is a tribute episode.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it is a tribute episode, as we find out, to an original series episode. But we'll get into that later on. I was pleasantly surprised by this episode. I went into this week not expecting much. After 4.5 Vulcans, after reading the feedback that was going on online, after seeing the reviews of people online, some of it were taking it as face value, some were taking it as a comedic episode, some people were rightly taking it quite personally for their own reasons, and I absolutely respect them for that. It was quite a divisive episode, so I think season 3 it's not been as strong as the first 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds, but I didn't really have that many expectations for the last 2 episodes. But this sort of like righted the direction a little bit, and we waited so long for an Ortega-centric episode, and we have finally got it, and it was amazing, and it was heart-wrenching. Oh, I didn't mention anything controversial. Why did you dye headphones? Damn you, Rainer!
If you want. I can mention something controversial if you want.
Yes, please don't. So many warnings. But we honk, honk, honk. But it was a heart-wrenching episode, and the twist at the end shocked me, because I got vibes of the original. I got vibes of that episode, but then at the end, I was like, oh, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And I was like,
They actually played into it.
They actually played into it. I was like, yeah. Okay, so do you want to give a little brief rundown of this episode, or do you want me to do it?
Yeah, basically what we have is that Ortegas is finally properly back to duty after her, kind of getting taken off duty by Una a couple
Naughty
of episodes
list.
ago. Yeah, for being on the naughty list. And she finally, but they have a situation where they need to, they need to study inside a nebula where there's gravimetric distortions. And it's too dangerous to actually sort of just put the ship down there. So what they do is they kit out a shuttlecraft to have nothing on it except like a pilot and measuring instruments. And they decide that Ortegas needs to fly that through the nebula and collect all the information. And it's quite good because it's, she's very confident because it's like her first solo mission back. And it's like, she says to Uhura, like, hey, it's going to help me sort of get my head together. And then what essentially happens is everything goes to hell. A wormhole opens up inside everything, sucks her through, and then the rest of the crew, and then she crash lands on, I don't even know if it's a planet. I assume it is a planet, but it's
Plutoid, planetoid, I believe.
Yeah, it's like an ice giant
asteroid.
or something.
Yeah.
But basically she crash lands there and then just has to kind of fend for herself while the crew are back on the Enterprise trying to sort of work out how to save her or communicate with her. So it becomes basically an horror episode in that regard of trying to find out ways to communicate through an unstable wormhole while they have another mission that they need to be doing. So there's obviously the clock is ticking because they need to go and give vaccines to a planet where a pandemic's happening to all the 4,000 colonists. So effectively they kind of go, hey, we can't stay around for too long. And it's that typical Star Trek trope of basically going, hey, we have to leave soon. Oh, but look, a distress signal. Oh, thank God we got you right in time. And it happens so many times in sci-fi. It is very much a trope, but...
It is a classic trope. It is a very classic trope, especially in Star Trek, of a crash shuttle and, basically on-site procurement of food and water because the rations have gone, and she learns how to condense water with just, good old Trek tech where it's just like, I will take this keyboard, I will take this wire, and now I've made water. It's very MacGyver in that essence, but
I like it though because it points out, like, it shows like how everyone in Starfleet has the basic training where it's got to take us, the shuttle is crashed, everything is like, sparking or on fire, not everything's working, but she's still sitting down there being like, right, okay, what did we learn? There's a specific scenario for what you do if you crash land on an alien planet. You have to do three things you need to get. You need to get food, you need to get water, you need to get shelter. I think that's the same like in all survival kind of training. But then she kind of realizes that I don't think she jerry-rigs it. I think it's literally a device that the shuttle has where it has a little thing that allows you to condense water, where it kind of collects everything up in the air and then puts it into a jar for her to drink.
Dehumidifier, basically. That's what
but she's so happy with herself. She's so pleased with herself when she does it,
In 2002, a book was released called The Starfleet Survival Guide. And I've got a copy of it, and I read it from cover to cover. And, oh boy, like, it had how to survive everything. And again, one of them was like shuttle crashes and stuff like that. And it was just, Chris has just said it there in the transporter room. Hi, Chris, that it is a very typical trope. But I don't know. It just, again, it harkens back to classic Star Trek. Like, right, what do you do? But then the twist of the episode is that Ortegas is stranded on this planetoid, this asteroid, but she is not alone, and the clock is ticking for her as well because the orbit of the asteroid has got a very shallow ellipses, and it will enter a certain atmosphere in the gas giant, which will become highly toxic, and she will be able to survive outside. And then when she's searching for food and everything like that, she notices a figure in the distance, and
Well, no, she comes across a habitat. She realizes there's a fire in the background. She heads towards that fire, and when she gets there, it's obviously someone else is living there in this little, you know, ramshackle shelter. But then when she looks around to find out who it is, she realizes that actually it's a Gorn. And this is the really important thing of like she is still suffering from trauma because of her attack at the hands of the Gorn. She is, you know, like La'an has a built-in hatred for the Gorn because of like her childhood, but like Ortegas is like, I think they were just a normal enemy to her, but then obviously in episode 1 of this season, she gets savaged by one, and she's just recovered from it like physically, and so it becomes this thing of her going, great, now I need to sort of fight off a Gorn and hide from it, but then as they spend more time, the Gorn actually just ignores her. The Gorn sort of like, you know, the Gorn just goes, hey, I'm not gonna, you know, it doesn't speak, but it ignores her in favor of like sort of catching another predator and protecting her from another predator. And then as the Gorn is basically tearing apart this creature for food,
a millipede, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a big millipede. The Gorn throws some to Ortegas, and Ortegas kind of goes, "What, you're trying to make, you know, like you're actually offering me food and stuff?" And then that's the thing. Over the course of the episode, they build up this relationship, and it's another sort of movie trope. Like I remember there's a very famous like underrated movie from the 80s. I remember it's one of those like, hey, it cost several £million and it totally bombed. I think it's called Enemy Mine, where it's basically two races. Yeah, two species that are at war. They get stuck on a planet together, and then they have to kind of survive together and slowly learn each other's language. Even though they are sworn enemies and they're currently at war with each other. And over the course of the film, it does. So this episode is like a homage to that, but through the lens of original series Trek.
I think it's a very big homage to a lot of things, specifically classic Trek and obviously Enemy Mine and various other movies that we've seen. There are a few issues that I have with the episode, and as we get to them, I'll discuss that, because I'm just sort of, it's a good episode, but as with most episodes in Strange New Worlds this season, I have burning questions that I feel like I have I've not been fulfilled enough, and take that anyway.
Isn't that what you're asking?
And I just have those burning questions, and but I love the fact that Ortegas, has this not unconscious, but just conscious prejudice against the Gorn for what they did to her. But through it all, her Starfleet training, her Federation values, trumps all of that, and she learns to work with the Gorn. They learn to work together, and she realizes that this Gorn is injured, and even goes to the point where she creates a very, very basic universal translator with the tricorder to try and understand them a little bit better. And just seeing how this relationship develops all the way through the episode is wonderful, because that is the whole point of Star Trek. It's understanding other cultures, other races. They may be enemies, but an enemy can become a friend, and we've seen this with 8472 in Voyager. We saw it with the Klingons, the Romulans, and the Borg to a lesser extent. But it's understanding your enemy and knowing them and turning that enemy into a friend. And even the Gorn in this episode, where Ortegas goes, "Oh, you're just studying my weaknesses," and they're like, "I disagree." And she's going, "You want to understand your enemy." And she's like, "I agree." But it shows that the Gorn, as we have seen throughout this season and the previous season, that they're not just reptilian savages destroying the galaxy. They're a very highly evolved, highly advanced race that, can be construed as being misjudged in a way, And we learn that with the hibernation period and their need to reproduce and stuff like that. There's an animalistic instinct to them, but they are still a highly advanced race.
It's the same as all Trek races, where it's the idea of every race has a way of understanding them. Like, no race is perfect. Like, we've talked about how humans and the Federation and stuff are inherently flawed in the way that they do a lot of things. But then we have things like, the Vulcans, where it's their logic and their sort of dangerous emotions hold them back. It's the fact that they're suppressing the emotions makes it so that they're indifferent to a lot of stuff. But then we have the Klingons, where obviously, where do I start with the sort of crazy, okay, how does this race actually work? And Andorians, it's kind of fleshing out the Gorn and going they are incredibly intelligent, they are incredibly advanced, to the point where in this episode Ortegas is the primitive one. Ortegas is the one being sort of the and the Gorn is almost sort of humoring her by being okay, cool, yeah, I'll help you with your crazy stuff, oh well, it's not gonna, oh well, whatever, I'll entertain you and stuff. And that's the joy of Trek, though, where it's the point of you should be able to empathize with any living creature. The idea of I was arguing with someone the other day because he referred to something as evil, and I personally don't believe in the concept of evil. I don't think anything is evil. We have things that are animalistic, that things that work purely by instinct, but then we have humans where there's always an intention. And people,
except Yodel.
No, that's the thing. Yodel are just capitalist nonsense. Well, it's the idea of if they were paid properly, if capitalism worked, Yodel would be successful. But it's
evil.
But no, it's that idea, and when we have something as an enemy, we're too tempted to just paint it as, no, it doesn't have emotions, no, it doesn't have feelings, no, it doesn't have a justification in its own mind for what it's doing. And I love that Trek does that, where it kind of goes hey, it's not just this evil race, like Babylon 5, where you've got the shadows, and it just goes, oh yeah, they're just evil, and you're really? That's as deep as it goes? Okay,
it's the inherent desensitization of one's foe to make it easier to commit the acts that you need to commit. Exactly. Ironically,
but then as we see in this, even the Gorn, which we before this season we thought were just mindless killing monsters, primitive monsters. Now we're they have thoughts, they have feelings, they have sort of political views, they have sort of
they have games.
Yeah, they have games, and it's just so beautiful. This is just so perfect Trek, and I love whatever the haters online say, Strange New Worlds gets Trek and it gets the message, and I love it.
It does, because it's Trek's never always been. I mean, I know the original series, pew pew, shoot first, ask questions later, but even in the original series, there was an inherent understanding of the enemy, and I will compare it to the balance of terror. Two warring enemies, right? The Romulans and the Federation. Even in even in this tense master and commander battle, this tense naval battle, they still try to understand one another. And even right at the end, in another life, I would consider you a friend. And it's really interesting because at the moment on I have got a lot of TV to catch up on. I have got a huge backlog. So naturally, I'm just rewatching stuff I've already seen because, So
I'm actually really proud of myself because I've actually been watching some new TV the last couple of weeks.
That's a line, you know it. Anyway. So I've been rewatching, interestingly, to prepare for a series that we're probably going to do in 17 years when I've got the time. Caprica, the prequel to Battlestar Galactica, and within that show there is because the show is set on the planet Caprica, one of the 12 colonies of Cobalt, and there was a scene, and it really made me think when I watched this episode. There was a planet called Tauron, where people are called Taurons, and they're a very deeply spiritual, religious, traditional. They are a symbolism of the Middle East, of Arabic culture, etc., etc. And there was a scene between two brothers, and one brother goes to the other, who is in like the Tauron mafia, shall we say? How do you do?
Mafia, okay.
They're called the Halafa, which is like the mafia of Tauron. And he asked him, he goes, "How do you do it? Like, how do you do it, Sam? How do you kill? How do you just kill people?" And it was really interesting because he said, "I just don't pretend they're real. I just pretend that they are not real, that this is just a game, and it separates me from thinking that they had a childhood, they went to school, they have family, they have love, they have dreams, they have wishes. It disassociates my what I have done with the." And it's really interesting because, like, you think about this, and it's like, you get desensitized to an enemy when you're in wars and everything like that. They paint them as this like faceless enemy with no morals and no love or no thing and this like that, because it makes it easier to carry out the task that you need to do. And episodes like this make you think that you have these massive space battles, you have these massive combat. Both sides have got people with families, with intelligence, with dreams, with hopes, with hobbies and everything like that. And it really makes you think. And this is an episode where it's like these are two supposed enemies, but they still find a way to work together, to build a bond, to understand each other and exchange laughter and games and food and everything like that. And it's just so intriguing. And I was left so pleasantly surprised by this episode because it's like, yes, this is what Star Trek is all about. Darmok and Jalad and Tanagra, the Enterprise episode with Trip Tucker. Hell, even, the Gorn episode in the original series, which is this is a homage to. Yeah. It's knowing thine enemy and looking past the fact that they are an enemy to understand them, to get, to move on from that.
Well, it also points out the idea, because the main thing we have is whoever we class in the world as an enemy, like, that is society. Society is what makes them an enemy. Like, if it's a person that who has specifically wronged you, who has specifically done things, then yes, there is the ability to dislike, there is the ability to sort of like, have views. But to dislike someone purely based upon what they are is a societal issue. Like, it's the idea of just going, hey, that person's a Gorn, I assume that I've been told that they're just going to be like all the other Gorns, and the Gorns are like this. And it's like we have now, where the fact is that the people causing all this hatred in our country, whether it's against the trans community, whether it's against asylum seekers, whether it's against, like, well, the rest of the LGBT plus community, it's the idea of all of that happens because those people don't view the people they're attacking as actual people. Yeah. It all happens because they're just going, oh, that's just a thing. They're not like us. They don't go home and think the same things as us. They don't go home and do that. And the fact is, all of these people have never sat down and spent time with the thing they hate. Yeah. Like, we're with the... And it's so frightening that, like, and it makes it easier because if everyone bands together, so if all of these people who are going around painting roundabouts in the country right now, which is... It makes me sick to my stomach to be English, if I'm perfectly honest. That's a very bold statement, but fucking hell. All of these people, they're ganging together and they're kind of finding community amongst themselves against this thing that they want to hate, rather than actually going, hey, let's actually work out, like speak to people, get involved, that's the only
understand
way to get through hatred. But they don't want to, because it's so much easier. It's so much easier to think that the Gorn are just this mindless enemy and they're always going to attack you. And that's what's so important about this episode, because it points out that, like, because it's different from Darmok and Janard. I can't pronounce it.
Jalad.
Jalad, because they were both good species that were on good terms going into that together. this is a time when we actually go, hey, they're actual enemies. And obviously we see in the original series, hey, they're enemies and they're just going to play out like enemies, like nothing changed between them. But then in this one we have one of them taking the high ground effectively, and the rest is history.
But it's really it's what I love about it is the twist is in this episode as opposed to the original series. It's the Gorn that takes the high ground, that shows, that saves Ortegas, that takes pity, and it just again shows how evolved they are past, humans, where they're viewed as this savage species that just impregnates other species. Not impregnate, but do you know what I mean? Like uses them as vessels to reproduce. When in fact it's like, no, like there's more to them than that, and it's such a great twist because
that's how species work, though. It's the idea of, yes, the Gorn go around and they sort of put their eggs in people, and that causes the people to die in order for their eggs to hatch. But then how is that different from us growing animals purely to kill them? How is that different from us going, hey, cool, actually we need to tear down these trees because we need to burn them in order to create fire, in order to create things. Like, it's this idea of every race has these things and we're desensitized to them because they are naturally our thing. Whereas a Gorn obviously isn't going to think twice about like, oh, well, I don't know this person that I'm putting my eggs inside, kind of thing. And like we were saying about killing, they're going to be thinking, yep, cool, it's something I need to do, so I don't really care whether that person's got a family, haven't really thought about it, and that's how species work. That's the way Klingons work with their sort of insane honor stuff, and it's how sort of, everyone.
Let's talk about Uhura in this episode. Because it is although it is an Ortegas episode, it is also an Uhura episode.
Well, it's an Ortegas episode, but the B plot is very much Uhura. Yeah.
Her guilt, if you will, about basically sending Ortegas onto this mission. Well, she didn't send her, but like allowing her to go on this mission and being worried about her going on this social, this solo mission. I have not had my medication today. I apologize. It almost, goes all the way through the episode, but her desperation to keep trying to find Ortegas. And the one criticism I have got within this episode is long and short of it, she tries to devise many plans to try and save Ortegas, sending dozens of probes through the wormhole, trying to make communications, try and find Ortegas. The wormhole is shrinking every time they try something. And she ends up coming up with a plan, presents this to Pike, but she fudges the figures on this. She fudges the figures to say, yep, the sensitivity is above 60%. We can do it. We just need to jam the ship within the closing wormhole, create a warp bubble to keep it extended so we can look for Ortegas. Fudges it and gets done. What annoys me about this, I get her drive. I get her emotion. There is no consequences for her actions at the end of the episode. She fudged figures, and at the end when Pike goes, I know you fudged the figures, I still would have found Ortegas. There still should have been certain consequences for her actions. When you look at Ortegas and what Ortegas did and the consequences for her actions, when you look at Uhura, she not only put Ortegas at risk, she put the crew at risk, the ship at risk, the vaccine and 4,000 colonists at risk. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, she fudged a figure and everything played out, but she still lied to the captain and presented false information, and not 1 ounce of discipline was dished out to her. And I've got a real problem with that, considering within the same season we had Una disciplining Ortegas and essentially taking her off the duty roster for putting the ship at risk.
I think, though, there is a difference. There's a contextual difference with it, which is obviously when Pike calls her up and says, look, I know you fudged the numbers. He says, but I wouldn't have left her. You know, it says like, you know, he effectively says, but I would have still done it. Like, and I think the difference here is that in Ortegas' situation, like when she got reprimanded, it was because like it didn't need to happen. They would have been fine. Like the fact is, you know, what the act, she went against the plan that would have worked because she didn't have faith in the chain of command. She went, "Hey, I'll fuck it up so that we have to do my plan," and it didn't turn out any better. Like, you know, it's like the issue is she put people's lives at risk, and it didn't work out. But it is still the idea of, you know, like there should still be punishment for it.
There should still be consequences.
Because the fact is, I guess at the end of the day, they did survive. You know, they did survive. They did save Ortegas. You know, and they did get to the colonists. But it is that whole kind of, yeah, but don't ever do that again. But I believe that, like, I think it's this idea where it's the fact of what Ortegas did in the previous incident was something that could have been done a lot. That is a mistake that she made, that if she got away with it, she would keep doing that. She would go, hey, well, if I got away with it this one time, then I'll do it there. Like, she was a potential risk to the rest of the crew. Whereas with this, what Uhura does is totally specific to this situation. It is totally specific to, she fudged the numbers because she knew that this was the only chance they had. You know, like, this is the only chance they had to get there. It's a difficult one. You're right, there should still be consequences of going like, hey, cool, but
I don't know. But there was, you know, getting away from the negativity. Nice little nod yet again to Captain Decker of the Constellation. No,
hey there.
Not what?
I've just seen it in the chat. Letter Dex.
Oh, Letter Dex. Hey,
guys. Yes.
Oh,
you haven't seen this episode. Oh, please stop watching our nonsense and watch this episode.
Don't watch us. We are crap.
Yeah, this is my favorite episode of this season, and we finally get an Ortegas episode. So yes, enjoy it and watch, and thanks for tuning in.
I am very looking forward to meeting Letterdex at STLV next year as well. It is going to be good. We could share Philly cheesesteaks at the Rio.
Spicy.
The root beer.
Oh, I do. I want more root
I've
beer.
got a guy who knows a guy who buys Barks beer, root beer.
I don't know what that is. Barks?
Yes, it's Barks root beer. It's what you had in America. It was amazing.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, great.
Oh, yes.
Cool.
Yes.
I did really enjoy it.
I know a guy who knows a guy who steals from a guy. I'm becoming a mule. Just a quick tangent. I'm becoming a mule of Earl Grey tea. I didn't
want to comment on it, but you know.
Yeah, I'm becoming a mule of Earl Grey tea. So every time I travel, I ship half a suitcase full of Earl Grey tea to the United States. Customs are sort of going, him again? Why are there 60 million bags? But there is now a trade line with no tariffs going on. So I'm establishing transatlantic Anglo-American.
Do they not have like Earl Grey over there?
No. So the Earl Grey tea that I ship, right? It's Marks and Spencer. It's not just any Earl Grey tea. It's Marks and Spencer's Earl Grey tea. It's like £3. So it's like £3 for a box over here. It's $60 in America.
What? Oh,
yeah. So
what? How is it that expensive?
Yeah,
is that
import?
Is that
import
before that orange nut has?
That was before. That was actually before. I don't know what it is now, but yes. So I supply Earl Grey tea, and then I get whatever I want from them United States. I'm going to try and push it and get a skateboard next month, see if I can get that through. But Michael, you wanted a beer. Bored! Yeah, so thank you so much, Letterdex, for tuning in. Please give us a like. Please.
Yeah.
But yeah, so getting back to Ortegas and the fledgling relationship with the Gorn, where they're learning to play each other's games, and you know she's trying to understand, and she realizes that they're a pilot.
Well,
they're
this
also a
is the
female.
great thing. There's a great sort of communication between them where they're basically like they're talking, they're kind of understanding things through body language and whatnot. And Ortegas notices the Gorn's helmet, and goes, "Hey, you're a pilot as well," and then realizes that the Gorn is like a female as well. Like, and it's also the idea of the Gorn is wounded. The Gorn has a big injury on its leg, and
Yeah.
we see that it's basically because the creatures that the millipede things that come out the holes always go for the legs. They always go for sort of the
Of course they
calves.
do, disgusting creatures.
Yeah, but yeah, and Ortegas is like sort of trying to bind the wound and put this like I don't know. They made some kind of like
It's like a splint.
yeah. They made some kind of topical cream for it.
Oh,
out
the
of, like,
goo.
Yeah, like the goo
The
out of
goo.
like dust or whatever. It's very confusing. Out of crystals, but yeah. So it is good, but
Crystals
Ortegas
never
is, like,
solved anything, everybody.
but yes, they're applying that to the Gorn, and it's just really nice, like sort of just and it is the fact of like because the Gorn starts off being very scary purely by its nature. Like the fact of what it's doing is the way it communicates is through screeches and sort of like having its massive toothed mouth, like its sharp teeth, sort of roaring and whatnot.
For
And
those that don't
it is-
realise, that's like someone from Birmingham saying hello. Continue.
Yeah, no, that's it. But sadly, Gorns are easier to understand, and actually, sort of an intelligent species. Birmingham. We've got to have Birmingham jokes in. But yeah, but it's the fact that it stays frightening throughout the episode, but then we start to understand it. And it's the fact of, yes, like what is frightening to us is just them being normal. Like it's not meant to be frightening. Like we're viewing it like the animal kingdom of going, oh, if it's got sharp teeth, that's because it's meant to be intimidating or whatnot. Whereas you could, we probably have other species looking at humans being like, oh God, look at their noses, how intimidating. Or, they have these pointy things on their face and stuff. And it's just crazy to think of it that way, that we don't notice it because we are it. And I think the episode does a great thing of basically going, hey, the Gorn doesn't change. The Gorn doesn't like become like less sharp or less sort of fangy. It just, we learn to go, oh, actually, it's just a creature. It's great the way it does it. That
We
it's
just learn
unapologetic.
to we become
Yeah.
desensitized to
Yeah.
we learn not to fear
Exactly.
the unknown.
Yeah, exactly like if we just spend time with the people we're scared of or the things that we're scared of, we realize that there's nothing to fear. And that's exactly what this episode is. It's the idea of going, hey, if society, like, it's like where you get like a dickhead and he might be nasty to you, or like, I guess like school, like bullies or something, where when they're in a gang, they're going to be nasty to you. Whereas if you ever get them like alone kind of thing, or one of them alone, you can be civilized, you can chat on, because without the pressure of society, without the kind of, hey, I'm being told to hate you, or I'm being told to ostracize you because I don't understand you, like you can't do anything. Whereas one-on-one, like we get here, you go, hey, actually there is nothing to fear. It's just beautiful seeing it.
Another one of my criticisms, very small criticism, is, and I've been thinking about this all day, and I've gone back and forth about it, is Ortegas's comfortability of Gorn technology and learning to like refit this communications array and stuff like that. And I'm sort of like, oh, well, she did fly a Gorn ship, and then I'm like, well, but she doesn't know how all of this works. It's got crystals and goo, but then she did fly that Gorn ship, and she did beat that Gorn day, and she did. And I'm sort of like, it's one of those Trek things where the Starfleet officer just seems to understand on a very basic level how everything works. Like, she makes a universal translator, she makes a water condenser, she jerry rigs a communications array.
Well,
it's.
I agree with Mike that basically I think that I agree with Mike though. It's like wasn't sure if she made the water condenser or if it's just part of the survival kit, because it did look like she
what
got
Chris
it out
said.
of a
Yeah,
cupboard, and then
yeah.
she just it's Chris, sorry,
Yeah.
just put it
I'm
together and
Mike.
went, oh, there we go. That's the thing. I was just going like, hang on, I'm pretty sure, but yeah, and it's really but it is one of those things where you have to just be like, how did they do that? But it's the same as all Trek, where they're how did they do a transporter lock within 5 seconds? That's no time. There's no computer that you could select coordinates that quickly.
Yeah.
And it's Trek stuff. Like, we don't know how long she was playing with it. She could have been playing like with that Gorn technology, trial and erroring it for 3 days, and then being like, oh, cool, it works like this. So we don't know, but it's a plot device.
But going.
And the universal translator, I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. If the universal translator didn't understand Gorn to start with, how does it know what an affirmative is or what a negative is? And if it knows that, why can't it do more?
Also, where is the universal translator if she didn't have one? The away team has a tricorder. The away team has a comm badge. The comm badge is just a dog tag in this age. So where's the universal translator?
I think it's inside that device. I assume that the computer that she has, the little handheld computer.
Oh, the tricorder.
It's just I wasn't sure if it was a tricorder or like something more advanced, but it's the idea of it just goes, I have these features. So it'll have a translator built into it, like an app on your phone, and she's like, well, I can jerry-rig this a little bit.
I suppose, yeah.
I think it's one of these things. It's like with the other episodes where we're just going, if they had more time. Well, no, actually, no. It's the opposite of the other episodes. When those ones were going, this feels rushed because they should have spent more time with it. This one here, it's like, we can fill in that blank.
It's the longest episode.
We don't need to be told how she knows Gorn technology. We're like going, we can guess that she's pissed around with it for a while, or she just does,
So I mean, we are speeding through this episode, but I mean, but we have discussed quite a lot when you think about it. But the plan that she has to essentially ignite the planetoid's atmosphere to essentially be a warning beacon. All the while, there was a mysterious flickering light in the distance that we don't know what it is. Is someone watching them or anything like that? Can't be sure. The Gorn doesn't know. Ortegas doesn't know. And the fact that when Ortegas starts to give up hope that they won't be rescued, that she won't be able to pull this off, and that the Gorn is the one to sort of bring her up by her boots and help her.
I think it's a wonderful story that's told without like words. Like, one of the main things I want to mention about the episode is how, like, this is a big thing where like there are no real rules for narrative. You can do the thing and people will, go, yep, that's fine because it's thing. Like video games. Like every time you play a video game and a character just talks about stuff. Like, like you go around and you click
exposition
on a cupboard. Yeah, that's it. You click on a cupboard and he's like, oh, it's a cupboard. It's a bit old though. And you're just like, no one does that. Obviously I do that, but that's because I'm mentally ill. But it's the fact of, like, but we get all of these films where they're like, oh, we can't do a film about one person on their own because who would they talk to? There needs to be another character there so they can do exposition. Like, we're kind of sitting here being like, hey, we need a Silent Hill film, like an accurate Silent Hill film where it's someone wandering around on their own and they're like, oh, but you can't have that because then they'd never say anything. And it's like, they can talk to themselves. Like, as a film goer, I would accept that. And it's quite good seeing Ortegas in this episode being like, yep, I'm on my own, so no one's judging me, so I'm just going to talk out loud because that's, because that's what you do, when you're
living alone. Living alone. I have sort of regrets. Hey, another space nut. Living alone.
ASN, Mr. Space Nut.
I have sort of regressed to how I was when I was a kid. I mean, I've been an only child all my life. My sister was born in 2002. Where you talk to yourself, or you'll go, like, I will go maybe 2 days not saying a word. If I'm off, I'll go 2 days with not saying a word if I'm doing nothing, right? But then occasionally I'll say something random, or I'll say a line from a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like I hadn't said a word all day, bar my therapist. I hadn't said a word all day, right? But then I thought I'm gonna have a nap earlier on before I come onto the show.
Yeah.
And then I just went, smoke me a kipper, and then just went to bed. But it's one of those traits where like you start talking to yourself, or when I'm playing when I'm
On Twitch.
No, not even Twitch, like when I'm just playing the PlayStation on my own, like I will talk to myself. Like I will try and like I was playing Helldivers 2, so naturally I was talking to myself going, you fucking useless idiot. Because everyone in Helldivers 2 at the moment is just unaliving at a staggering, like 36 million deaths today alone in Helldivers 2.
Hell.
We are failing.
That's almost like the situation in something that'll get us cancelled.
We are failing Super Earth so bad. So I was taught, but I start talking to myself quite a lot. And I do it quite a lot when I'm working on the car. And I will talk to myself, but I will talk to the car. And not a lot of people get that if you've not been in a situation where you've been alone for a long time, or you grew up as an only child where you were just on your own for a long time. Not a lot of people get it. So when they see it on screen, they go, no one would do that. No one would do that. And it's like, sometimes it's a coping mechanism to keep yourself sane. To hear your own voice.
And that is exactly what it is in this episode, where it's Ortegas being like, "Hey, I'm totally alone, so I'm just gonna do this." Like, Have you seen this episode, Space Nut? What did you think of it?
I really hope you're out, because if we are spoiling this for everyone, then it's 52 minutes in, and we're not going to stop. So, but
that's it. It's when the thing talks back, you have to worry, but. Like, I do it all the time. Like, I literally...
it does.
I'm a nightmare. Like, I always talk to myself. Like, I was working on music the other day, and I was just like, where is that layer? Where have I put that layer? And, oh, that's a bit loud. You know, no one in the house. No, I'm not saying it to anyone. It's just that's how I am. Like, I remark upon things. It's like, it's a loneliness thing. But the fact is, seeing Ortegas doing it helps the episode, and... Wouldn't this episode have been so much worse if we hadn't have got all of the scenes where she's alone? You know, like if they'd had to frame it as like, oh well, she has to be doing logs all the time, so the whole thing has to be framed like logs. Like, you know, like, but instead she starts a log and then the computer burns out, and you're like going, okay, cool, well that's not an option. And I just enjoyed it. But going back to what we were talking about, sorry,
it could have worked if they had framed the story a little bit differently, where she crashed on this alien world and there was no one else there. There was no one else there, and she tried, like we see in the episode, she tries to do a personal log and then the computer fries. The rest of the episode, we just see her trying to survive. We just see her trying to get by day to day to day to day. And I think it would have been, you know...
You could have done it as a montage, but then we wouldn't have had as much of Ortegas.
But I think the way that they've done it, it was absolutely brilliant. And
it makes her endearing. It makes us like, if it was possible, it makes us like Ortegas even more. The fact of just going that she's acting like this, and I'm like, this is so relatable. That she's just like, oh great, it's broken, great, okay, where am I gonna find this? And, you know, like.
Another Space Note where he's just like, oh, when the car talks back, you worry. Really funny. This is gonna be my last tangent of the night. When it was really hot the other week. You know, when we had like a spate of like constant 26 to 30 degrees. I was on Twitch. I had to have the windows open. I had to have because in this room I've got 3 windows. This one is always shut right in front of me with the curtains, because obviously light, but I've got one there and then I've got one over there. I had to have them open because it was so fucking hot. I had a fan on, the PC was just like, kill me now. But what was funny, so I was doing Cousin Truckwell. So naturally, for like 3 hours, I was acting like a tit. And then the next day, my neighbour from across the road came up to it. She was like, oh, you're all right. You know, when you get into the car and go to work and you have that like little conversation. And she was like, "Did you have an American over last night?" And I went, "No." She went, "I heard an American and he was saying the weirdest things." I went, "No, that was me." She was like, "What? Why were you talking American?" And I was like, "Oh, I was on Twitch for 3 hours." And she was like, "What's Twitch?"
Yeah, that's it.
So
I was twitching for 3 hours.
So yeah, so she was like, "Bird watching."
Longer than that.
So I was like, no, I had to explain that I'm not mentally insane to my neighbours. And I was like, there's an audience, there's a camera.
I get the feeling you explaining how you're not crazy to your neighbour is the best example of you showing how crazy you are to your neighbour.
Yeah, I make money twerking as a trucker for 3 hours a night. And she's like,
what I do, I pretend to be a crazy American bisexual trucker to strangers on the internet, and everyone laughs and gives me money. And she's just like,
but if I go quiet for 20 minutes, it's because I'm saluting the American national anthem, which is really the British national anthem that I've changed the name from. And she's just like, "Hello, police."
She is reinforcing that fucking wall.
I haven't seen her since. I have not seen her since. She makes a beeline for her car in the driveway. I'm like, "Hiya." She's like, "Brrr."
It's going to be like the home security that they have in that episode of The Simpsons, where like the shutters come down or the house gets up and runs off. You know,
I feel like leaning into it.
Installed right now.
I feel like leaning into it and doing like that Bart Simpson bit where he's just flying a kite on the driveway. Like, "Hello, mother," or like the bit where you open the window, lift up your top, and just like squeeze your chest, like, "Oh," just to see what happens. But anyway, back to the episode. Back to the episode.
Welcome back, Chris. Hi. Oh, we have Damon.
Oh, we have the magnificent Shed on his alternate account. He's got a star account. He's got many aliases. He's a shed. He's a gazebo.
I would love to peruse his accounts.
He's a gazebo. He is a shanty. He is a shack. He is a
They're
bar.
all things that you would like to get inside, right, Goodwill?
He's a tiki hut. He's.
That's actually stalled me a bit.
A tiki hut.
Okay, I know what that is.
I threatened him the other day. Threatened him the other day with nothing violent. Just I was going to visit. But right.
Open yourself up. I'm coming. So this episode of Trek, how about it?
My parents watch this. Can you please?
Hello, Mama Goodwill. Open that shed. I'm coming inside.
Don't they actually? They have many sheds. The electrifying man from the 32nd century and a ravishing cop from Boston. Yes, he's also he's diversifying his roles from security to police. God,
I can't even get out of being a bottom. But yeah, anyhow. So this episode of Trek, speaking of being at the bottom, it's pretty difficult situation on this planetoid with Ortegas and the Gorn. But I do love though that like they grow together and they communicate with each other, and I just love it that it literally has all these little scenes where like Ortegas teaches the Gorn how to play chess, and then the Gorn immediately beats her ass at it, and basically she's just like, hang on, are you hustling me? Because the Gorn is such a good first timer at like chess, but
shows how highly intelligent.
But it's done so well. Like the whole thing of going, they go, hey, here's how chess works. And then the Gorn's like making an illegal move. And Ortegas is like, no, only the knight can move over other pieces and stuff like that. And I just love that little addition of it, because that's the things that would happen. They're the little nuances of teaching a game. And then afterwards, and they said afterwards, I've been hanging around you too long. Afterwards, it's the quiz. But it gets... the Gorn the Gorn actually brings out a game board for one of its own things that it's made itself, and then teaches Ortegas how to play this game. And it's just a wonderful little thing. And it says something of like, it's not like Ortegas's thing where they've just drawn it and got these rocks and gone, oh well, that can be a bishop, that can be a king. It's a bit like the episode of Bottom where they're using action figures and stuff as like the pieces. But then the Gorn has actually whittled like a game, like it's made a board out of like bones of the animals and stuff that it's killed, out of the millipedes and things. And it's just this, there's a loneliness there, like the fact of like at the end of the episode it describes the Gorn as incredibly lonely. And the Gorn it's literally whittled a game board and game pieces, even though it was alone on this planet with no one to play it with. And it's just a beautiful little moment, I think, in the episode.
I often wondered how long the Gorn had been there, but we'll get to that shortly. Chris has said, someone complaining about this week's Twitch stream where we made it Goodwill suffer for 30 minutes. It was 37. It was 37 minutes. I was supposed to finish at 9:30. I didn't get off till after 10, and I was at work the next day.
yeah.
But thank you for paying me. I
think the hilarious thing, actually, my own tangent here, obviously next weekend, so not this weekend, but next weekend,
yes.
I will be, after the Trek stream, we will be doing a 24-hour gaming stream, myself and Ian. It is the third year of us doing it, as it's become...
You're insane.
In memory of our dear friend Beth, who passed away 3 years ago. But the hilarious thing is, last year, people realized that they could really wind Ian up with all of my Twitch rewards, like all of the redeemables, because they spammed the hell out of those rewards.
Was it Beth?
Ian... No, it wasn't. It's a friend of mine called My Memory Hole, and it's like...
Don't worry, darling. Have a piece of cheese.
It was the pink lady one, the dancing
one.
Yeah. Like literally spammed that for like an hour, and Ian was losing his shit. And as we all know, Ian getting angry makes my day, because Ian getting angry is just the best thing in the entire world, because he is so over the top with it. But the problem is we've had to, like, Ian was going, okay, so we'll do the stream, but you need to turn all of that shit off, okay? You need to turn all of the rewards and stuff off. And I'm like, okay, how about a compromise? How about they are turned off, but donations can enable them again? Like, you know, like, so...
Recommendations is in the stream. Hello! Welcome in.
I love a recommendation. Oh, I love one. What's your recommendation for today? Is
the Gorn? Jam? The Gorn are quite more advanced than what we thought. Yes, they are. Exactly. We are just talking about suffering because the transport room made me suffer this week. But yes, the Gorn.
Yeah, but we're going to do it. We're on the stream. We're going to have a barrier where basically, if someone donates a certain amount, or if we make over a certain amount in an hour-long period, then the rewards get activated for 10 minutes, and people can wind Ian up. And I'm like, hey, you might be annoyed, but we're making money. We're making money for a good cause.
Tune in to Trek It Up North next week, where we will have the link to donate and the Twitch stream down below, and I will try...
Actually, I can give you it now. It's synoiz.com/gaming stream. That will take you to the Facebook event page, which has a link to the Just Giving page. But yes, anyway,
someone put it. I'll try and pin it next week as well. But yeah, let's talk about when Ortegas ignites the atmosphere and the signal is sent to Enterprise. The away team beams down.
Yeah, there's a lot more I want to talk about.
Oh yes,
with this particular bit, like at the end of the episode, where you know, Erica Ortegas and the Gorn have formed this wonderful bond between themselves because they've gone through this hardship, and they have an understanding. They can actually communicate with each other now, and I compare this episode to some of my favorite Trek, and that is the highest praise that any Trek fan can give an episode. But Duet, this episode, and I knew it was coming. That it was going to end like Duet, where it was the idea of going, they form this beautiful relationship, and it helps someone, and it, because that's the important thing. It's the fact of, if these things happen, at least like, sorry, I'm gonna go off on one. Sorry, it's a tangent, but it's I. Someone posted online the other day. It was one of these like Facebook pages, and it was talking about how the actor, very famous actor who played Maritza in the episode Duet, the Cardassian, and apparently, even though he was a guest star, he lobbied for for them to make him a regular character, to not kill him at the end of the episode, so that he could expand this role. But the thing is, I was like, it's too essential. Like, the the fact that he dies at the end of the episode and shows that other people who haven't been and haven't seen what Kira's seen will still treat him the same way is such an important plot point for it. Where it's the fact of it, it's the same as anything. It's the fact of, if you and me go out and we get to know someone who might be an enemy, or someone that we don't agree with, or like if I went out and met like sort of a right winger, or sort of like a Britain First like type supporter, or like a MAGA Trump person or whatever, and got to like chat to them and know them and go like, hey, they're not this big evil. They're like they've got everything wrong. Like, they're not doing things properly, but they're still a human.
Yeah.
But then what we see in this scene, like in Duet, is the people who haven't had that journey, and just how difficult it is. That you can't just go out and say, hey, there's nothing wrong with this person. They're just people. The Gorn are just like us. There is progress to be made there. But Larn and the team beams down, and as soon as they see that there's a Gorn there, they shoot it to death. And
it was heartbreaking.
It's awful, man. I cried twice in this episode. I cried during the episode when they were playing chess, just at how beautiful the whole thing was, and I died at the end. I cried at the end because of just, I knew it had to come, because obviously what would they do with a Gorn character?
I got so upset. I was like you. I got so upset, but seeing the pain that Ortegas was going through as that happened,
acted.
I was crushed. I mean, I was like you. I knew it was. I thought when the flare malfunctioned, and Erica was like, it has to be manually done. I genuinely thought the Gorn would have like dragged her back and did it. But again, subverting our expectations there. But to do it in such a brutal way, at the hands of the Federation as well.
It's not a brutal way, because it's just how it would normally be done. There's no difference in how they act in that scene there as they would have acted in the first episode.
No, I know. What I mean is, like, it was brutal. Like, the way that she was killed was brutal. Yeah. And it's, for such a spirit as hers, I just wanted to know more. I really wanted to know more about her.
But at least because it's a difficult one, because the episode mentions earlier on, like, because the when Erica is speaking to the Gorn, because it's so frustrating that the Gorn never gets named. Like, it never gets a name. It's a she. And they're a kind person. They're a pilot, but they never get a name. But it's more about the relationship that matters. But how do I say this? The fact that the Gorn is explaining to Ortegas that because she's injured, if she actually did get rescued, she would just be killed, because that's how the Gorn work. The Gorn go, hey, you're injured. We don't really want to bother healing you. That's too long. You need to just die with honor, so we'll eat you, or something like that. Like, that's how they work. They're a survival of the fittest type species. And so the Gorn kind of goes, hey, I've accepted my fate here. This is my life for the end of my days, because if I do get rescued, or if I do try and get rescued, I'm probably just going to get killed. And the fact that the Gorn gets over that purely for Ortegas, knowing, like, the Gorn probably knows that's what'll happen. The Gorn is probably fully expecting to get shot as soon as the Federation appears, and still helps Ortegas. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful that she still does that for Ortegas, because she's like, hey, this means a lot to you. I will help you get that flare working and stuff. I will protect you. I will, lift all these things for you. Knowing that there's no good ending for her in this situation. She either dies with the planet or she dies from whoever rescues them. Sorry, I'm very emotional about this.
No. This is what
good Trek does. Good Trek gets you invested. It gets you emotional.
But then the final twist in the end of the episode is as they
some twat playing a game.
As the away team is beaming up, time stands still, and we see a figure appear. The flashing light that has been teasing us throughout the episode appears, and lo and behold, as soon as I saw it appear, I went, "You son of a bitch! You son of a bitch! You've gone down that road." They have fully linked this to Arena and brought back the Metrons, a highly evolved race. Once again, experimenting with humans and Gorn to see how they would fare, how they would work together. Now, it's a good reference, but I have an issue with it.
Yeah.
In Arena.
I do too, but yeah.
In Arena, okay, you've got the Gorn ship and you've got the Enterprise, okay? Both captains being down to a planet, okay? In this episode, this Gorn pilot has clearly been there a very long time. How did they know, by taking this Gorn pilot, that Ortegas and the Enterprise would be at that side of the region of space?
They created the wormhole.
But
I mean, how do we know?
There's a lot of questions about.
How do we know that Ortegas is the first species that has entered this experiment? So if that Gorn has been there for a while, like the Gorn maybe got there accidentally, and then what do they call them? The Metrons,
as in the tube line, darling. The Metrons.
No, because this one actually turns up and does things.
Oh, the Metron Center.
The
Metron Center with the gnomes. Go on.
I know. Here's my bloody Newcastle Tyne and Metro rant because of bloody.
Settle in, everybody.
It's for a 15-minute service where the timetable is there is one every 15 minutes. I shouldn't be waiting 50 minutes. That suggests that 3 trains have failed. And then it turns up and it's one of the bloody new ones where I have to sit side saddle with no actual anything to touch or hold on to. Oh, fuck the metro system. I hate it. Me having to go, okay, so the journey takes half an hour. I'm going to have to set off 2 hours in advance to make sure that I actually get there on the metro. Oh. Anyway. Sorry, okay, I'm going to stop. Fuck the Tyne and Weir Metro. It's just, it should be...
Oh, you're done? Okay.
Yeah, I'm done. But anyway, fuck the metro system. But with the Metron, I suspect that maybe the Gorn's there accidentally, but then the Metron kind of went like, hey, what can we do with this? So what can we, like, hey, let's do some experiments while it's here, and started inviting things into the situation to be like, I wonder what you'll be like. I wonder, like, oh, we got this, like a Vulcan appeared there and we trapped him in, and oh, the Vulcan attacked the Gorn and the Gorn killed it or something, or like, oh, they didn't work together and the Vulcan got killed by the millipede things, that kind of thing. And then this is like them going, hey, let's try it with a human. And I like that. Like, I was gonna say originally that I didn't like the Metron involvement because what's the benefit of Arena? Like, the whole thing where we're just going, why does that episode happen if this experiment has already been done?
Yeah.
But I kind of like them going, hey, let's try again, but with a slightly different context of going, hey, we tried it with pilots, where we tried it with females of the species, and then obviously in Arena it's like going, hey, these are both captains. I assume that the Gorn is a Gorn captain or whatnot. I don't think it ever gets explained.
Yeah, it's the Gorn captain.
But, oh, is it? Sorry, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Me, I don't know the original series as well as I probably should, but Kirk. It's so difficult, man. I'm literally watching it being like, oh God, shut up. But anyway. But all of that, and just kind of, I think it does the Strange New Worlds thing of going, yes, we're not upsetting the apple cart. we are fitting in between the lines of stuff without sort of messing around too much, and it should be like even though the connection wasn't needed, like I think even without the Metron, this is a perfect episode.
It's a really good episode. I understand why they've linked the Metrons there, and I've understood, the whole "you will not remember us, but you will have the memories of her" and blah 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 blah,
which is good.
It just it makes me sad, but also makes me hopeful, because Strange New Worlds is the very spirit of the original series done right in a modern take, with modern storytelling abilities, and it makes me sad that we have only got 17 more episodes. It really does. But I am also hopeful that with the new merger at Skydance, with the head being a Star Trek fan, and the sheer amount of fan chatter that they want a Kirk spin-off and they want to see these adventures continue, that we get to see more stories like this. And then, like I said, season 3, it's had its ups, it's had its downs. Check out Trek Culture for the ups and downs when it comes to that. But I want to see it continue. Why end it at season 5? I know why, but from a Trekkie point of view, stuff like this teaches people, sends a message, educates people to understand your enemy, to know your enemies, so they no longer are enemies. They can become friends. And
the whole thing with war is that the person you are fighting against in war is not your enemy. It's the people telling that person to be where they are, and the person telling you to be where you are, that is the thing. It that is the problem. And that's the issue, because they are a living, breathing creature with thoughts and feelings and hopes and dreams, and the context of being forced into that situation of going, hey, someone told me that you've got different views to me, so I need to destroy you, or I'm frightened of you because I don't understand you. And it's like, well, how do you stop being frightened by someone? Do you murder them all? No, you get to know them. You get to go like, oh, okay, it's a different culture, but it makes sense. Like the bit in this episode where they finish the Gorn's game, and then the Gorn's like, right, cool, because you won, you have to eat the puzzle, your chess piece. You have to eat the piece. And I do love the idea of that's like a tradition. I can't really think of anything in our kind of things. Like, we had a weird game years ago at Christmas where when you did a certain thing at Christmas, like won the game, you got to keep an ornament from the Christmas tree. Like, that was when I was really young, but that was like a weird family thing. But I love that happening, but I also would have loved it if it totally was just the Gorn taking the piss. So if Ortegas actually ate the piece, then the Gorn's like, oh my fucking god, I can't believe you did
does
that.
a Heimlich.
The Gorn's just like, whoa, okay, you mad bastard. I think that would have been funny, but I don't know how they would have done it with yes or no answers. But but I love that, the nuance of the culture, that's what makes Star Trek. The fact that you can speak Klingon, the fact that you can know the tenets of Vulcan, the fact that you can know the rules of acquisition, is the idea of going, these species, these races, these cultures are fleshed out. And I love that we're getting that with the fucking Gorn. The fucking...
But let's be honest.
Polystyrene boulder from the
But
original
let's be
series.
honest. We only had the Gorn a very small amount of times within Star Trek in the last 6 years. We had them in the original series. We had mentions in the Gen era, and then obviously we had the Gorn in Enterprise in A Mirror Darkly. Was it In a Mirror Darkly? Yeah, In a Mirror Darkly. So to see this race that's so established into the consciousness of Star Trek finally getting explored and fleshed out, it's brilliant. This is what DS9 did with the Cardassians, with the Klingons, with the Ferengi,
with the
Vulcans, and the Andorians and the Vulcans. These are races in this universe, in this galaxy, that deserve to be fleshed out and deserve, oh, it's a Gorn, it's an enemy, pew pew. No. They are their own civilization. They have hibernation. They have advanced technology and advanced minds, and it's And Chris has said there, like, I love Kirk and Spock, but I really do not. But we really do not need another Kirk and Spock series. I agree with recommendations, though. I disagree with you, Chris. I think if they're going to do Star Trek Year One, it's one season. It's a mini series. It's one and done. Right? It's one and done. It charts as the first year, and then it just immediately bleeds into the original series, and then that's it. You've got a nice continuation from Pike all the way to the original series.
Yeah,
and it's a nice continuation.
In mind, though, whatever the context of the show, so whether it's a Spock and Kirk show, whether it's a whole different crew show, it's not gonna just be about them. That whole episodes aren't going to just be about Kirk and Spock. We're still going to get what we love from Trek, which is exploring new worlds, seeing new races, fleshing out other races and stuff. So if that's through the lens of Kirk and Spock in their first year kind of thing, and how they're getting on and whatnot, as well as look, we're fleshing out all these other races. As long as we get the world building that we love Trek for, I just want new Trek. It just needs to be written well.
But let's be honest.
As well as Strange New Worlds, and well as we'd hope Legacy would be.
Let's be honest, right? As much as the original series is there, and as much as people love it, it was very limited in its world building. Okay, it was very self-contained on the Enterprise. What Strange New Worlds has done, what Discovery did, and then Strange New Worlds did, was build the world of that era. It just expanded that era. You got daft things like Starbase One, where they captured the domes.
Laughing at the message of recommendations being like, apart from the obvious bottle episode of Kirk and Spock stuck in a turbo lift to save money, because it would happen. They would have the budget episode where it's
going to be Shuttlepod. It's going to be Shuttlepod 1 all over again.
All the other characters basically pop up at the beginning before, in the cold open, just to be like, I've got my 50 quid. And then the rest of the episode is like Kirk and Spock trapped in a room.
But we see with Strange New Worlds, they are doing the bottle episodes, they are doing the single episodes, but they're still as well building the universe. They're doing what the next gen did. They are exploring, but also building the world around them. So it's like a living, breathing entity. Yeah. And this is what I get. Like, my one criticism from Discovery, and yes, you got to go, Captain Goodwill, one?
yeah. I have a few more.
The book is in the shelf. But my one criticism from Discovery is, no matter what your view on it, no matter what your take on it, it never felt like it was part of a world. It felt very centric to the ship, like the original series. Yeah. Whereas this is like, we've got Starbase One. Oh, we need to meet Captain Decker on the Constellation. Oh, but we've got the US Star Trek. We've got this. We've got this. We've got this. It just it fills the world. It expands our knowledge of the world of Trek in this era, and I love it.
Trek has to be new things and new exploration, whether that's sort of going out and finding new things like Next Generation or like Strange New Worlds and going out and finding the adventure, or DS9 where it comes to them, where you're just going, hey, you want a space station? Oh, a strange new race has appeared on the ship or whatever, on the station, and we need to research it, or a new situation has occurred. Like, that's what it's all about. Like, Discovery squandered its opportunities by being like, hey, you've got a really interesting like species here that you could flesh out, or there's a crew member that you could like totally sort of explore and go into their thoughts and feeling. Nope, you don't want to do that. Cool, never mind then. And it just felt like I wanted, how we're looking at this episode, or we're like, oh, I'd like to know more about the Metrons, or oh, I would have liked more of this or that or whatever. We know that the show might give us it. Like, it might actually give us that thing. Like, we've been waiting for so long for an Ortegas episode, and we finally got it. And that's the joy of it, because that we might get a payoff. Discovery was like, we're never going to find out who that is, are they? Are we? Like, they're never going to get an episode. Right, okay, never mind. And once you realized that, you were like, oh, right, okay, never mind. Cough season 3.
But overall,
I was chatting to a friend, and it's like season 3 was the point where we're like, this isn't getting better, is it? This is that wasn't like a slow start. That's what they intended the show to be. Okay, never mind then. Anyway.
But overall, I really, really liked this episode. I think it was a good Ortegas episode, and it was an episode that Ortegas deserved. And I absolutely love, and the acting was superb all the way through this episode, and just it upsets me to see the pain in Ortegas's eyes when the Gorn is shot, because it is genuine heartbreak to see that, and that is the sign of a really good actor. Do you have any notes, though, Science Officer? Because
Yeah,
I bet you do.
See you later, recommendations. Thank you so much for joining in. Good luck with your podcast.
Good luck, everybody. Go follow Recommendations on YouTube. If
Follow
you've got
all of them.
Follow all of them.
We
Follow.
are followed by so many lovely people. There's the Trek community, especially the Trek podcasting community, is so lovely. Like, we really should start having guests again.
They're all
Or
so
change the
handsome
intro.
as well. I just think they're all too handsome for us. I think we'll feel intimidated.
I think we need to do it. Like, I wonder if maybe after we finish Strange New Worlds, whether we should get back to the Dabo wheel, or if we should maybe have a bit of a let's get some guests involved for like a couple of weeks.
I've got some time
know.
coming up. Really, the only reason I've not got the guests on yet is because I really don't want to build another LCAR screen. But I'm working on it. We'll get that. Shut up! It's a lot of work.
But yeah, but no, sorry. I'll get back to it. But we will get around to it. I feel that there's so much that I need to talk about with this episode.
Do it.
I probably don't. I probably can't. Like, obviously the insanity of Uhura's plotline, but we've got to talk about Uhura in this episode being great. We need to talk about
Oh,
there we go. Yeah,
we have an email address on our YouTube page. So here's us up. Hang on. Oh, does that mean I have to have a bath and wash my hair?
No. Why upset the apricot? Should I wash my hair? Oh.
Yes.
But yes, no. But Uhura and Spock's relationship in this is quite fun because, like, have you ever realized that sometimes you're the person trying to be calm, but you're not making the situation any better? And like Spock being that person in this, where Uhura is desperately trying to fix something, she's desperately trying to find a way to save Ortegas, and Spock is there being like, this will not work, there's a blah blah blah, and he's right, but the fact that he's like conveying it so coldly, and it shows that they get Spock. And there's something about it where, like, because I have a lot of people that, like, when I say something, like, I'll say something and I'll mean it in the most, like, caring way, like, most caring and most considerate way, and then someone or people will take it as going, like, as insensitive, and I'm like, no, that's just who I am. And then you realize that people don't get you. They don't get that that's just how you do things.
Yeah.
And like I have it at work where basically I will be like, I'm not being critical. I'm just saying we need, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, but this is good. And, and it's that thing where you're going, well, it needs to be done. And yeah, I'm very conscious of it. But then the people who get me will go, that's just their way. So seeing Uhura not get angry at Spock being so sort of like logical and cold in this episode.
She gets frustrated, but she's tolerant of Spock's ways.
She doesn't like have an outburst at him, and there's something about that I loved, because that makes me go like, that's what I need in my life. I need people who get what I'm meaning, rather than going, oh, I took that the wrong way because of how I'm feeling.
I get it because I'm very much the same as you, where I'm very much a person that someone will want to rant and they won't want a solution to their problem.
Yeah.
However, I'm very much of, if you have this problem, this is the solution. And I have had those conversations where they go, I don't want you to provide it. I just want you to listen and sympathize. There may be a solution, but I don't want to hear it, because my whole process, my whole catharsis is to vent my feelings, my frustrations to someone, and then, you know, have that sympathy that they acknowledge what I'm going through. Where I'm built differently. I'm probably built very much like you, where it's just like,
it's
you have this
neurodivergent.
It's neurospicy. But it's very much it's very much that. But I also have trouble communicating how I'm feeling. I'm very much where, if, thank God we never had this in the UK, you know, like debate club or anything like that. I could not do that. I could not formulate an argument for something. I could not provide a reasonable argument, because I'm very much. Go on.
Sorry, the problem is I would be incredible at debate club, but I wouldn't have any friends. Like, because I would be, because I'm so brutal with stuff, you know, like, but it's the whole thing. It's like literally the idea of going, yep, we need to do this. This is a solution. Like, I'm very logical when it comes to stuff, but then you realize that actually emotion is an important part, and that's what I struggle with. But the idea of going, oh, there is the kind of, here is the problem, here's what you need to debate, let's do, because I do it all the time, where I'll always be devil's advocate to myself. So, like, whenever I kind of go, like, how do I feel about a particular situation? But then I'll sort of go, hey, this is how I feel, these are my current feelings, and then I'll contradict them and think, aha, but if I think about it from this way, how does that change my thing? Or if this was the case, how would I feel about it? I literally go over it all in my head and stuff.
Whereas
people just kind of go, I don't like that. And that's as deep as I'm going with it, you know?
But it's like, whereas I will have these thoughts, I will have these amazing, like, conversations in my head, but for whatever reason, whether it be neurological, physical, mental, whatever, it is so incredibly difficult to convey my thoughts and opinions and feelings in a cohesive, logical, understandable way sometimes. So probably people who have watched Trekkin Up North for the last 2 years have probably seen where I would have weeks where I'm incredibly eloquent. I am incredibly logical with my arguments. I will formulate opinions, and when other weeks I'm just like, bird. Like, it's just how I'm. It's how I'm built. It's how I'm designed, and medication helps. But sometimes, you know, I will rely on Synoiz, because Synoiz understands. Yeah, but Synoiz knows where I'm coming from and will be able to formulate it so eloquently and so beautifully. And I'm just like, yes, what he said.
But it's the passion. It's the fact that we love this. We love Trek. We love this show, and you know, and. Yeah, and I think it's great that we can do this and discuss it on this level. Like, this is what I think this is what makes us different from the other Trek podcasts, because we joke about how we're just rehashing the same thing, but the fact that I think we go into such depth with our episodes, the fact that we spend 2 hours an episode talking about Trek, but that's it, you know, which is a lot longer than a lot of our other friends who do podcasts.
4 hours on the undiscovered country, Synoiz.
Oh God!
It was like 3.5 hours or something like that we did on that one.
It was a long episode. It was a long.
But we did have a shed on the stream, so yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing better than having a shed inside.
A shed on Monster Maroon. But you know, it's you know, it can be difficult for people, and it just. I have these thoughts, I have these feelings, I have these opinions, and sometimes they are just very difficult to convey. And you know, people will just see me agreeing with you, because I'm like, yes, I feel exactly the same way, but instead of me talking about it in a way that makes me sound like a caveman or someone from Redcar, Synoiz does it in a logical, cohesive way. Do you know?
Yeah, but we need to round this up. We need to round this off.
Any more notes?
I am flagging. I wanted to say, like, obviously, we've got to talk about Spock's amazing line, which is basically when when Ortegas is talking about why she's the only one on the shuttle, and
Yeah.
Spock wants to go on the mission with her, but they're like, no, 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 it's better if there's only one person at risk. And she basically goes, no, 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 like we've got the weight of the shuttle, like sort of, you're too heavy, and Spock basically says, I maintain my weight within a variance of 1.8 kilograms. And it's just the most Spock thing to say. It's just
It's the Vulcan way of, are you saying I am fat?
I just love him so much. Like
Yeah.
I just love these characters so much. Like how perfectly they're done. Like that's the saddest thing, and it's the best thing. It's not the case of when Strange New Worlds ends and we kind of we don't get any more of it. That's not what makes me sad. It's the fact that we're not going to be seeing this Spock anymore, potentially. We're not going to be seeing Ortegas anymore. We're not going to see Laan anymore. We're not going to see Uhura. Like all the characters, like Pelia, like all these characters that I'm just like going, they've done such a good job in endearing us to this cast. The same as Next Generation, the same as DS9, the same as Voyager to a bit, but Neelix.
They've created a family. They've sort of, and you can tell that this has been done by lifelong Star Trek fans because they have seen the formula that has worked, and they have lived through Star Trek in the 90s, well, the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. And for those of us that, millennials and Gen Zs that grew up in those 90s, and, we mentioned earlier on, lonely child, talking to ourselves and stuff. I was a lonely child. Like, I was heavily bullied as a child, a lot more than people realized how much I was bullied. Yeah. Star Trek was not just an escapism.
Which is ironic because they also came from Redcar, which is literally just like, why are you hitting yourself? But yeah.
It's not even that. They weren't even from Redcar. They were they were from villages around Redcar. But I digress. But it's
Did they get better once their village discovered fire and the wheel?
No, they just went to prison. It was more than just an escapism. It was an extension of family. So every week you had a visit from these family members that gave you great comfort, that gave you love, and showed you a way of life that could be possible. And what I have seen with Strange New Worlds, even after the first season, we got that same vibe that it was a and I know companies say this all the time, but in terms of Star Trek, it is a family. It is a cohesive unit of people that look after one another and that love one another.
We joke about it because obviously we call him Daddy Pike and whatnot. Like we joke about this, but he is like, it's in this episode, the relationship between like Pike and Uhura and Una as well. Like the fact of like Una having to be the logical person, because obviously Pike's like, yep, we've got to make sure that we like try and save Ortegas. We've got to we've got to like try and do it. And then Una's the voice of reason, like having to do the difficult job of saying, I want to save Ortegas too, but we've got a mission to do. 4,000 people's lives are at stake if we don't deliver this vaccine, like this medicine. And you can see it in her eyes, like she's so well like acted that Una's just like, look, I'm not saying I'm happy about this at all, but I like it's so beautiful how it works as a family, where basically like at the end of the episode, when they've tried everything, they've wedged the Enterprise into the wormhole. They've got they've scanned all the planets. They've run out of time. Una's the one who has to turn around and say, "Hey, that's the line. We have to go now," kind of thing. We can't spend any more time doing it. And Uhura goes to Pike and she's like, essentially, thank you for letting me try. And Pike goes, yeah, we tried absolutely everything. And there's a closure there. Like, I kind of feel like if they had not found Ortegas and left, and then that would have been the end of it, and they moved on, it would have been a cleaner wound than if they hadn't have tried at all. And there's definitely something to be said about everything. Like at work, when you just go, just let me try this thing, and they let you, and you go, hey, I was wrong, or I tried and it didn't work, kind of thing. But like, thank you for letting me do that. Thank you for having faith and understanding that I needed this. Compared to, nope, we're not going to do that because it's a
Yeah.
silly idea, or and it's that difference, and that is the family aspect. That is the like you were saying, where you watch Star Trek because you felt like like they were family and they were like friends or whatever to surround you with once a week, or every day after The Simpsons, technically, which is confusing how that
Oh,
lasted as long
BBC
as it
Two.
did. Yeah, but and for me, it was the idea of not realizing it now that I'm older, of just being like, it was where I could see people that were like me being accepted. So people that were weirdos like me, or crazy sort of analytical and weird and didn't follow any cultural norms or whatever, just being another member of the crew, like
Yeah.
characters like Data, characters like Odo, like like characters like the Doctor, where you're just going, hey, why am I so othered? And that's the joy of Trek, and seeing that they all care about each other. Oh, sorry, I'm off on one. Sorry, but yeah,
No,
it's
but
beautiful.
Chris has nailed it on the head exactly as
Yeah.
you have. You go to SCLV and it's like a family reunion. I wholeheartedly agree. When we went to STLV last year, we saw all of our friends. We saw Sean, we saw Ellie, Mike. Every time I meet up with them, which is far too little, despite the fact I only live down the road from Trek culture, Chris. It is, but it is like that family. These are people that you've never met in person, but as soon as you meet them for the first time in person, you click, and
Yeah.
you
Except
just.
for that Sean. Except for that Sean.
I don't know. I
what
don't
a nightmare.
know.
What a nightmare.
Oh
he is.
no, he's got a magnificent beard. He has got a magnificent little beard. I do love to just go when I go past it. He's but it's these are people that despite the fact you've never met in person, when you do meet them, and it's just like a reunion. It is like a family reunion, and we laugh
And
and
it's
we
because
joke.
of shared core values, and these
Yeah.
are values that have been taught to us through Trek, through Roddenberry's vision. It's beautiful. Like, it's that we have this, like, look at the chat, like all these wonderful people who do their own Trek podcasts or are just
Yep.
fans. It's the factor of like, we're all part of this wonderful community, and we
Doing
have wonderful shows like Strange New Worlds carrying the torch.
doing this podcast over the last 2 years has fundamentally changed my life. It
You've
and
got a
that
sign
is
in the background.
that is
You've got more light in your room. So
I painted. I've got a bigger budget. But it has, in all seriousness, it has fundamentally changed my life. I love Star Trek since I was 2.5 years old. I very rarely expressed my passion openly about it. And ever since Nerdy Up North and starting Trekking Up North and everything like that, it has been to be accepted, to be welcomed into the fold as much as we have. And Star Trek, much like Star Wars, gets a lot of beef for toxic fans. And there are toxic fans out there. I've experienced them. Believe me, in the last few weeks, I've experienced them and I have deleted them. But
the thing is, though, it's the fact of, like I was saying, like with this episode with the Gorn, it's the fact of, yes, there are toxic fans, but there's an understanding that we need to have there of why are they toxic. This idea of going, is it because this means something to them? Like this idea of going, hey, like that's a STLV, we talk about how lovely it was, and it was. Like 99.999% of the people there were lovely, but that one guy who I keep mentioning, but then it was very telling of going, you are the only guy here not talking to anyone. Like, everyone else is making new friends and communicating and going all that. And then they were one of these people who's just like, well, I only like 4 episodes of the original season because they're the ones that tally with my, like, worldview. And it's like,
but
you know that whole thing of, I like it when they kill the aliens. And you're just going, why are you watching Trek? But the fact is, like, there's still an understanding there of going, why do you relate to that? Like,
Yeah.
what happened to you? What has your life experience been that you can do that?
Why
Like,
did you spend
it's always a
300?
discussion.
Why did you spend $300 on a weekend pass to be there, to like transmit your views about, like, you want to understand, like, what
I have a lot of empathy for that guy in particular. Like, he is really stuck in my mind because he was such a sore thumb among a room of people that are usually sore thumbs but weren't then. And it really said something of going, how the hell are you in this context and you're still an outsider? Like that, and that's the thing about Trek. And yeah, we need to lead that with empathy and with sort of reaching out to these people and going, why are you a toxic fan? Why does it matter so much that this character is like not non-binary, you know, like, or this non-binary character offends you? Like, there's probably people complaining about this episode because of the androgyny of the Metron. Sorry, you know, like probably going, oh, it's all woke, and it's like, that's kind of what it was before. That's kind of how.
Did you not see Arena?
Yeah. But it's that thing. But it will be people, and they're attacking it because of their own fear, because of their own sort of like prejudice, and it's all born out of. Everyone's got a hole in them that needs to be filled.
It will. David. It will. The gold passes are on sale tonight, so I know what I'm doing. Oh, right, yeah. So the dates for STLV have gone up. Some people know I can't book a flight, but I'm
because you're on a list. No,
no. I did not go to the island.
Back to the island.
Disconnected. We're going to STLV next year. Come hell or high water, no matter what happens. I just don't know where I'm going to be. So I can book a hotel, but I'm either going to drive there or I'm going to fly there.
You can book the ticket.
I can book the ticket. Yeah. It's the 60th anniversary, guys. And I mean, if you are going to push the boat out for 1 year, the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, do it. Save up all the money you can. Sell your firstborn. Go on OnlyFans. Do what you need to do. All of them. Just do. Who needs the population needs to decline, so just sell them for horse food or whatever. I don't care. But next year, like I said, we're all going to be there, and I really, really fear any detractors that turn up to that convention when they just see literally an army of united podcasters making their way down that hallway. It's going to be like Reservoir Dogs. It's going to be Reservoir Dogs with con badges. That's what it's going to be like. It's going to be Mr. Pink, Mr. Purple, Neelix for some reason, Mr. Blue.
He's got to be doing something in the episode because we have
Oksana
no
Snatch.
idea how to use him.
Oksana Snatch with a 7-ton dress.
I'll have to do that. I'll have to do a full
Oksana. No, you can't. The heat, Synoiz, the heat.
No, it's great. It's greatly ventilated. I didn't have a problem with the heat in Vegas. I just had a problem with Vegas just having nothing.
You ran to the car and then stuck in the fetal position all the way to the hotel because of the heat, and every blower was on your head.
That was because of makeup. That was purely because I was worried that the makeup would run. It wasn't that I was too hot, you know? I
will never, ever forget like, those journeys.
Oh my God.
I will never, ever forget. If a police car ever drove past us going from the Luxor to the Rio Hotel, which is like, you go up the strip, but like the back strip, which is like where the adult store is and stuff like that. If any police car or camera, just to see Synoiz just like this, in the car, like what is he doing to himself? With all the fans on, and I'm just like, hello. No, don't worry about him. No, fellatio. Yes. Oh God, ironically, I found the melted room card key the other day. Do you remember when I left it?
You left that, yeah.
In the cup holder, and it just molded perfectly to the, and it still works. But yes, I think it's time to wrap up the episode, don't you? Because we've rambled on for far too much.
Yeah, do I have any final things to say? I don't know if I do. I think okay. There's two final things. Obviously, Pit Monster Sushi is amazing, like amazing. The the Gorn scream is one of my favorite things.
Oh my
Like
god, yeah.
it is as someone who's an audiophile who loves sounds, that is just oh, it's perfect. Like it is the most beautiful sound in the whole episode that someone got to make that, like a designer got to make that. But yeah, the main thing I want to talk about is right at the end of the episode after we've my things fall now. Yeah, basically when Ortegas goes back to the ship, she's lost the memory of the Metrons, but she remembers the Gorn. And then Ahura meets her in her like quarters. It tells her she smells, which is quite good. But it points out the idea of like where Ortegas is dealing with the fact of the Gorn was her friend. They built up a special relationship, and La'an killed her, and it killed her out of ignorance. Like she did it because she meant well. But then the fact that she says, she was my friend, La'an is my friend. I don't know what to do with that. And it's that kind of processing of going, yeah, sometimes like that is a difficult thing where someone did something in your best interest and it caused you upset, but then you've got to understand that they did it because they care, even if they were ignorant, even if they didn't know what they were doing. And I love that, and then she says, what can I do now that the Gorn's gone? And Uhura says, remember her. And that's a very poignant line.
Yeah, I think it's very
And then
poignant.
obviously
And obviously
getting there and the
trinket.
game piece.
Yeah.
Finishing with a game piece that she pretended to swallow, but didn't. But she kind of keeps it as a memento, and that goes on the shelf. That goes on the shelf of trinkets that mean a lot to her, and that's a Gorn. That is her sworn enemy. That is the result of her trauma at the beginning of this series, and she's got through that the same way that Kira gets through her sort of prejudice in Duet. And it's a wonderful character moment.
Oh,
the only thing that spoiled this episode for me, the only negative side of this, was that I watched it on Amazon Prime, okay? And that because I let the credits roll, it auto-played The Hunt for Shannon Matthews afterwards. Which, I don't want to know how Amazon does its algorithm. But the fact that it just went, you've been watching Star Trek Strange New Worlds. We think you'll be interested in the documentary on the hunt of Shannon Matthews, which, if you're in America, is the most British crime I think it's possible. It's so iconic that earlier this year, I saw a drag performance of the telling of the hunt for Shannon Matthews. As in a full stage production, okay, of drag queens telling the story of this random true crime event.
Just to clarify, this is not the sequel to The Hunt for Red October. Please wiki this. It is screwed up.
Yeah.
I don't know what is worse, though. I really don't know what it's worse, because you watch it on Amazon Prime, I watch it on Paramount Plus, and I don't know what is worse, because you get that, I get every week Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, yeah.
Every week.
Yeah, just
I
goes,
get
well,
that.
we're going to play Discovery, and you're just like, I've already thumbs downed this.
It's
Like, why are you still recommending it?
It like the credit trinket, it goes, if you like Star Trek Discovery, you're gonna like. I'm gonna go. Stop you there.
Yeah, you like Strange New Worlds, you'll like Star Trek Discovery. And I'm like, no.
I will stop you there. I will stop you there, Paramount Plus. Please divert your attention to my list. There is Yellowstone. Why? Rip Taylor. He will rip me a new Taylor. There is 1923. Yellowstone spin-off. There is 1893. Yellowstone spin-off. There is Star Trek. Star Trek. Star Trek. Star Trek. Star Trek. What is missing? That's right. Discovery. Learn.
But that's exactly it, and it's the fact of like this is the problem where we have Discovery in section 31, where people are like, oh, that's the same as all. It's like that's Star Trek, and it's like it's not. Well, no, it is Star Trek, but these things are not the same thing. It's like you can't just be like, hey, that Star Wars show is the same as this Star Wars show. It's like, no, this one is for some people, this one is for other people, this one is for everyone.
Did you see Michelle Yeoh's interview this week about Section 31? I think it was the most...
She was very diplomatic.
It was the most reserved diplomatic... We could have done better. And I'm like, I saw your face in January. I saw it.
You saw it up front of her just being like, what the fuck?
I saw the vein on the side of her temple. Right? I feared for my life. And I was about 5 rows back.
Yeah,
so,
she knows martial arts. You had to use Sean as a shield against her rage. Or Mike. Should have used Mike, actually.
No, he was the rear shield. Sean was the front. But enough about our nights in London. It is time to... Trekkie sandwich.
One thing, I want to end on a question before we do this, though. There's a gap in my Trek knowledge where Ortegas mentions ghost stories at the beginning of the episode and mentions Division 12.
Never heard of it.
What is that a reference to? Is that a new
Never
thing?
heard of it. It is a new thing, and I want a complete and full series order right now. I want David Duchovny on the phone as the descendant of Agent Mulder right now. Star Trek Division 12. Make it so. Do it, Skydance. I will find you. I know where you live. Do it.
No, perfect.
I have a H-1B coming. I have a H-1B visa coming. You can't stop me. Melrose Avenue. Anyway, that has been our review of Terrarium. Season 3, Episode 9, which means that next week it is the finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3. And I have but one question for Science Officer Synoiz. Will we be ending... God, I'm tired. Will we... Oh my God. Will we be live next week?
We will. We will be live next week.
Oh,
it works well because I won't be live the week after because I have to be in London, so we'll have to pre-record that. But
that's
we can do
fine.
it any time during the week.
We can because the week after we are going back to the Double Wheel and we are reviewing Elogium from Star Trek Void. You put it off for 10 weeks. I had to.
Should we start Discovery? Should we start reviewing Discovery?
I had to flee to America. I had to change jobs. I have done everything to prevent myself. Do you know there's a story of my people? Shut up, Chakotay!
Oh God, we need to. Oh, we're gonna have to get the bloody swear jar out for every time I use the phrase space nuns. But
I'm gonna get a mug and I'm gonna write on it just the tip jar, okay? And every time you say so, every time,
just the tip, dear doctor.
Fill the spoon, dear doctor. And every time you say something, I will fill that with something. But yes, so next week, I hope that you guys can join us for the finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. If you liked this video, please click that like button. If you are not already subscribed to Trekking Up North on YouTube, please click that subscriber button. I am trying to build those numbers, guys. I have got a lot more time coming up in the future, so I will be working on promoting and spamming, meaning more YouTube shorts, because we won't be able to get spoilers anymore because it's Elogium, it's 30 years old, no one cares. You could follow Synoiz on all of his socials down below. You could follow me on all the socials down below. The Transporter Room, give them a subscription. They are down below, and all of our other friends are down below as well. And don't forget next week's 24-hour charity stream with Science Officer Synoiz and Ian on, what's the website?
Well, it'll be synoiz.com/gaming stream. That will take you to the Facebook page for now, the Facebook event page, but it also will have a link to the Just Giving page. And we will be doing the entire stream on my Twitch, which is twitch.tv/Synoiz, SYNOIZ. But also, what was I going? Yes, also, while I'm here, check out my new EP because there's another one coming on Monday. Think fast. I released the first part of my new album, nearly 2 weeks ago now. The Hotel. It is on Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music and wherever you listen to your stuff. Go to synoiz.com/horrors and you'll get there. And the new part of it is coming out on Monday called The City. And I'm very, very pleased with it, but I'm still playing around with the mixes.
Can I get it in Virgin Megastore?
No. Well, the hilarious thing is we're actually having a discussion because someone was like, can I get a physical release of it? And I'm like, I don't think you can, because the actual full album is an hour and 30 minutes. And that won't fit on a CD. So the decision is, do we cut some tracks off for the CD release, or do we do a double CD album, but that's going to cost a fortune? So we're like, are we going to have to do a Kickstarter for this? So that is a discussion that will happen later on in the year, I think.
Transport Room is only 42 away from 3,500 subscribers.
Yes.
I am only 3,400. I'm only 3,400 away. So we're close.
That's crazy. Well
that is
done.
crazy. Really well done. Really. See, guys, this is what happens when you dedicate time to something. But I will be on Twitch next week, I think. 1 or 2 days. I'm not sure yet because I have to also record the dry dock on Clone Star. And I've asked Mike for a date and Mike responded with,
I'll buy you a drink.
Ooh.
It was a wordplay.
Right, I think I'm going to bed. I've had enough.
We're done.
We're done. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
Thank you, everyone who's tuned in. Please check out all the links below. And tell us in the comments, please post comments on this video because it helps the algorithm. Share this video. Tell us what you thought of the episode. Tell us what you disagree with that we've said, and that will really help. Yeah. Transported Room's asking, do you want us to be nice to you next week on Twitch?
No, because I'm sadistic, and I'm sadistic, and what I've cleverly done is I've converted all the punishments to bits, so I'm getting ever so slightly more richer. However, I might have to up them because I've just realised, like, for something it's 10p per play. It kills me.
Beth's getting a 5 already.
Who gave Beth the ability to get bits? Who told her about bits? By the way, I will find you. I will find you. I will find you, and I will do things to you.
Oh, Daddy. Well, on that note.
On that note, like, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next week. Stay safe, look after each other, live long and prosper. And as ever, on Trekkin Up North.
Your sorbet sucks. Now get out.